Many congratulations, Avani. You just clinched the qualifier of the Asian Games, and you defeated a lot of top pros on the way to actually getting that spot. So, did you expect that result? One, and how did you prepare for this unique selection trial?
I did expect it. I was pretty confident coming into the week. And I know for a fact that if I do like follow the process that I have laid out for myself, if I do play my game, then my game is good enough to beat the best in the world. So my only goal for the week, my main goal for the week was to just follow my process, and if I did, then I know that I could have played really well, and which I did, and that resulted in me winning. And I trained specifically for a couple of like distances because those would be the distances I would be getting on the course for my approach shots and everything. I plan and practice a lot of like my pitching wedge and gap wedges because those were the distance I was going to get on the course, and that's what I got all week. And I hit a lot of good approaches, which gave me a lot of birdie opportunities. So I think in 4 days I made 20 birdies, and a lot of them came with really good approaches, which was all practiced a week or two before.
And if you could talk about, if Avni and you both can talk about the preparation which went into the selection trial, like anything prior to the trial, how did you prepare for those 2 3 days, like mentally?
So we got the yardages a week or two before, and I calculated what I'd be doing on every hole, and I practiced like my approach distances. So I made sure to practice my mid-irons and wedges just maybe a week before. And right after I finished my tournament in Hyderabad over the weekend, we came and hit some balls in KJ, and I made sure to practice like everything below my 9 iron. And that's what was very crucial during the week, was mainly the clubs I got was 9 and below. And that's what resulted in a lot of my birdies because I was hitting them like much closer than a lot of people were. So I think the main planning went with the clubs I'd be hitting and practicing those specific clubs because those were how I was going to get my birdies. So I think that was like the main.
In fact, we were in for a shock, and I'll explain to you. See, Avni used to play from the green tees, okay, and the green tees, the yardage is almost 6,600 yards, right? Now, what happened in this tournament is that they made the players play a mix of black and orange tees. Green and orange. Okay, green and orange. And there was some black also. No? Okay. So what happened is the yardages that she was used to playing, all of that got disturbed, right? Which is why, it became, whereas for the other players who were coming in, they were coming in fresh. So they had no, bias or anything. In fact, she also started with a little bit of a disadvantage because when she went and played in Hyderabad the previous week, the greens were very, very different. So were the fairways, in the HGA club. Correct, Avni? Right? So that was an additional challenge for Avni, coming back and getting, adjusted to really true greens.
You are now set to partner the likes of Aditi Ashok and Tresha Malik on the Indian team. What are your thoughts about that? Aditi has already been an Olympian, and she is an inspiration to many girls in the country. So you would be getting a chance to play with her in the team.
I'm very excited. I'm very glad that I'm on the team, and I can't wait to represent India this September. And I've already played with Tresa before, and I'm really looking forward to play with Aditi. And I know, just like me, that they're also very, very excited, and we're all, very pumped up and excited to win that gold for India.
So you finished 21st at the Augusta National and 16th at the Augusta Asia Pacific Women's Amateur. So if you would want to disclose what kind of learnings you had from those experiences, like playing on the Augusta National, which hosts the Masters, and also Asia Pacific Amateur, which is also another prestigious tournament which has been floated by the APGC and stuff like that.
Definitely got a lot of confidence playing in the Augusta National Women's Amateur. It gave me a lot of positives about my game, and it was very clear that if I played my game, then it was good enough to beat the rest of the world. And then a lot of parts of my game that I was working on before we went to the US a couple years ago, I really improved. So, for example, I wasn't the longest hitter back in 2019 when I went to play a tournament in the US. And 3 years later, I'm outdriving nearly everyone that I used to play with back then, and by like 20, 25 yards. So those were one of like the areas that I was working on, and now that I've like picked up on that, it's a huge like relief, not a relief, it's a huge positive factor for me. And I think the main thing that I have to work on from now is my short game, mainly my putting. And if I start bowling maybe those 10 to 15 foot range putts, then my scores will drop and go much lower. And I think the one thing that I didn't play that well over there was my chipping, because of how different the greens were. So basically, we had elevated greens, and I was at a flat surface. The green was sitting like this, and in India, you don't have elevated greens at all. So for me to like learn how to chip in those kind of conditions was quite a tough one. And we had planned, and we had spoken to Anirban there, and he said that we should go to Kalhar and practice, which is what we planned to do. But just about 6 weeks before, I got an injury, so I injured my back, and I was out for nearly like 4 to 6 weeks, and it was very limited action at that time. So we couldn't travel down, and if we did plan to travel down, that was risking my Augusta tournament, because that was nearly a 25-hour journey. So we just chose to stay back, and since I couldn't practice that particular shot by going to Kalhar, it's kind of what let me down over there. But now I've learned to play it, so I can't wait to go back and win it next year.
Like treading those same pug marks as Tiger has already treaded, like, and you are a Tiger Woods fan, so if you could
we used to nickname
Magnolia Lane,
Tiger Woodsy.
Magnolia Lane and the Azalea, and the 13th is his favorite. Like how did you feel? Like, did you feel any goosebumps when you were standing at the Azalea or going past that Magnolia Lane?
I don't think I felt any goosebumps, but I definitely felt very excited when I was hitting that 12th hole tee shot, like, which is the make or break hole in any Masters tournament.
Correct.
So there were nearly like 2,000 people there.
4,000 people.
4,000 people.
For an amateur event, can you imagine 4,000? So what happens is, So what happens is, you come down from the 11th hole drive. So there is a 11th hole green there, and then there is a 12th hole tee and the 13th hole tee box, which is next to the 12th hole green. So what happens is that people cannot go nearer than the tee box of the 12th hole. So what happens, a big crowd gathers there, because that is where either people mess up or they do well. So if you remember in the 2019 Masters, the three guys who were part of the leader group, that was Molinari and Finau and
Tony Finau
and Tiger, right? The other two guys actually messed up and hit the ball into the water, right? And that's where actually Tiger firmly went into the lead. So, so there is a big crowd there that's waiting to cheer people. So we had like nearly maybe 3,000-4,000 people sitting there. And then Avani hit a shot to about 7 feet from 146 yards.
From where the men played. So the tee box is the same.
It is the same tee box, right? And she hit it to 7 feet. And my God, the roar that came from people was just simply amazing. And then, of course, she holed that putt to make a birdie.
And then I heard another big roar.
So it was really
like the highlight of the tournament.
So at 4, what inspired you to take up golf, and where do you want to take your career to? Like.
So it all began when one day my grandparents were visiting us in Gurgaon, and my dad wanted to take my granddad along with him to learn the sport. And there I was jumping around both of them, asking them to take me along, because I absolutely love spending time with my dad, and I still do. So, and I was always a very athletic child. I never liked like sitting around. I always loved kicking a ball or running around. So any sort of sport or anything related to sports really interested me. And obviously dad was ignoring me at first, because who would want to take a 3-year-old to the golf course. And my granddad told him that maybe she's trying to send you a message. And he said this because we have a lot of prodigies in our house, in our family, and mainly in music, but there are a lot of like child prodigies. And so he told him that listen, she's trying to send you a message. So then dad took me along instead of my granddad, and he put a junior club in my hand. He taught me the basics, and he taught me how to hold the club. Then I started swinging the club. It actually looked like I had been swinging that club forever. And he was amazed at how good my hand coordination was at 3 years, 10 months. And then he asked his coach to come and take a look at me and teach me something. And his coach did, and they went, and both of them went for a round of golf, and they left me with a caddy for about like 4 hours or so. I was still on the range after they came back from their round, and I hit a lot of balls, and yeah, so this convinced both of them that I was born to play the sport.
Right. Great to know that. So last question.
And my so every year we sit down and lay out my goals for the year, and we also lay out the processes on how we're going to reach those goals. So for this year, what like Dad and I have discussed, my goals for this year is to break into the top 75 on the World Amateur Golf Rankings, and also win a gold for India this September in the Asian Games, and in the 2024 Olympics I want to win a gold for India and become world number 1 by 2026. So that's by the time I'm 20.
Great. Nice to speak to you guys, and all the very best, Avani, for your future tournaments. And looking forward to having more conversations with you guys. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you. Bye.